Now I'm going to show you how to make one of my very favorite recipes from my dessert cookbook, Sweet Indulgence, and it's called the Perfectly Exquisite Pear Pie because it really is perfect and exquisite if you ask me. So the first thing we're going to do is make the crust. Traditional pie crusts are made with flour, usually white flour, some kind of shortening like Crisco or oil or butter, salt, maybe even some sugar. Mine is made from actual food. Dates and oats with a little bit of spices. So we're going to take a food processor fitted with the S blade because it looks like the letter S. Make sure it's dry because if there's just a little bit of water in there when you grind your oats or if you're doing nuts or seeds, it's going to make it more like a pesto instead of a dry flour or breadcrumb-like consistency. So we're going to take our rolled oats with our pure vanilla bean powder and cinnamon and place them in the food processor. And we're just going to process this for just a little bit. And if you would rather just use oat flour in equal amounts, that's fine. It's just more expensive to buy the flour already ground than to just kind of grind it yourself. And I don't mind if there's a little bit of oats showing. I kind of actually prefer and like the toothsomeness. Both I prefer the look and the texture. And there have been times where I've just put the dates in and haven't done that first step and it came out just fine. So I've got my pitted dates. These are Deglet Noor. I tend to use these exclusively, except maybe in my desert date shake because they're a little bit drier and they are much cheaper. I can get these for $2.69 a pound. Medjool are 3, 4 or more times as expensive. If you're eating dates just for your enjoyment, that's different. But if you're just using them for their sweetness, I think the Deglet Noor are the best bang for your buck. So I'm going to add that to the food processor. The bag said pitted. Let's hope it is, because really you should take the time to cut them in half or at least squeeze them, looking for that rogue pit. So that was 45 seconds. And you know it's done or almost done by when the food processor starts slowing down and the ingredients kind of start mixing together. And what I do is I take the top off and then I just squeeze a little bit of the dough in my hand. And if I can get it to stick together easily, and then when I break it in half, it doesn't crumble, I call that the break point, then it's ready. And now I'm going to just pour it into my pie plate. This is a Pyrex one. It's purple, so I like it a lot. I'm just going to press it down. You can make little pies if you like. It's just going to be more labor intensive. So I generally make one big one. And what you want to do is just press the crust all the way around the edges and the bottom evenly. If you have kids, make them do it. Get them involved. If you get a kid involved in the preparation or the cooking of the healthy food, they'll be really proud of what they make and they'll be more likely to want to eat it. The reason we have thumbs, I'm convinced, is so that we can press up the sides. So you technically don't have to cook this crust. I mean, you can totally eat it, without cooking it. But I find if you don't, then it's a little bit sticky, and I think it tastes better when it is cooked. And plus, we're going to have to cook the ingredients on top anyway, because since we're working with pears, even when they're sweet, unless they're really, really ripe, they tend to be quite hard. So I definitely want to cook it. So just use the heel of your hand if you want, just to get it evenly. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's not one of those fluted shells where it matters that it's perfect. You're going to be having the filling to cover most of the crust anyway. The nice thing about this crust is it actually tastes good. I've never tasted a good tasting pie crust. It's always because there's something very sweet on top, but you could actually eat this crust as a recipe just by baking it into little balls or cookies, because that is the basis for many of my cookie recipes, like my thumbprint cookie, my snickerdoodles, my lemon poppy seed cooking. So if you didn't want to use oats for some reason, you could make the crust with nuts. I would recommend probably a walnut, an almond, or a pecan for the best flavor profile. You could probably do a cashew now that I think of it. So you just kind of press, press, press. Also, when I use the medjool dates, for me, they tend to be so sticky that I get a lot of schmutz on my hands. So that is good enough. And that's our beautiful crust. And now what we have to do is make our date paste. Now, quite honestly, date paste is something I always have on hand in my refrigerator. You could also freeze it if you like, and it's very easy to make. It's basically dates that have soaked in water. When you're in a hurry, you can use boiling water to make it go faster, but you do have to soak them. If you don't have time to soak them, you can make date paste in your pressure cooker as well. And so when you soak the dates in water, they absorb most of the water. So there's hardly any left, but you want to save the soak water from your dates or any dried fruit, because now all the natural sugar that is in your dried fruit is in the water. So you never want to throw that away. So I'm going to place this back in my food processor, fitted with the S blade, and I'm just going to process that into a puree. You know, date paste, when you refrigerate it, it gets much thicker, but we don't need it to be thick because we're not using it to make something like, say, the caramel apple recipe that I make every Halloween. We just need it to be nice and smooth. And so I'm going to just transfer it into another container because I need my food processor to make the filling. And I don't need to clean it out because I'm using it for the same recipe. And that's okay if there's just a little bit of date paste left in here. Especially with pear, I don't worry because, like I said, unless pears are very ripe and in season, they aren't always that sweet until they fully ripen. So we got most of our date paste here. Now, if you wanted to get the last bit off your blade, a trick I learned from my sister-in-law, Lauren, is to just put your food processor back on the base, hit the pulse button really quickly, and then now our blade is completely clear. And it's okay that we have a little bit of date paste in here because, as I mentioned, we do need it for the recipe. You can use this trick whether you're making date paste or hummus or anything. So now I want to take the ingredients for the filling, and I already have measured out my golden raisins, which I prefer to dark raisins. They have a less raisiny taste, and because they're yellow, you don't see them in the pie. You get this little burst of sweetness. It's like a little surprise. And my seasonings, which are cinnamon, pure vanilla bean powder, nutmeg, and cardamom. Just a little cardamom. Don't go crazy with the cardamom. It's a very overpowering spice, which is why in my recipes it uses them. I use between 1/16 and 1/8 of a teaspoon at the most. And so now I want to cut up my pears. There's many different kinds of pears. There's Bartlett pears, Anjou pears, there's red pears. And so these are the ones I'm using today, the Bartlett. And what I'm going to do, just to make it easy, is I'm going to take this little slicer. It has 16 segments instead of 8. And I'm just going to slice my pear. And the way you get it to come out is by just taking the bottom and then hitting it. And I'm going to be putting in my bowl here, and then I will take a little knife and cut it up there. I could use the food processor to, maybe I will. Why not show you instead of tell you? So I'll just place these segments in there. And I've got to do this with the rest of my pears. I probably could have done this in advance now that I think of it, because pears, I don't think oxidize at the same rate as apples do, if at all. I'm just too short for this counter to do this, or maybe the counter was built too low. When I eat a pear or an apple, I always cut it into the segments like this. It's like then I get 16 pieces instead of 8. It's easier than eating it the other way. So, I've been asked if you can use canned pears for this, or jarred pears, the kind that are in their own juice or in white grape juice. I haven't tried, to be honest, because I don't want them as mushy as canned are. Even though they get a little bit softer when you cook them, that's different than when they're in a can or a jar. So this is very similar to my apple pie that won't make you die recipe, but simply by changing the fruit and some of the spices, it tastes like a completely different pie. All right. 4 down, 2 to go. Usually I just buy them in the 2-pound bag because that's how many we need for the recipe. I love when they're perfect like this and they stand up and they don't give me any trouble. Just make sure if your core goes in there, you take it out. I like pears. They're so naturally sweet. Just try to get it over the core. Keep it straight. You really will need a cutting board. There we go. So now we got all our pears in the food processor. You can just cut these by hand too, as if you like. Just going to pulse. I don't want pear puree, but it's chopped nice and finely, which will be nice because it'll cook up even more tender. So I want to take out the date paste that I need for this recipe from the date paste I just made. The rest I will just put in the refrigerator. People ask me how long it lasts, and honestly, I've had it for up to 3 months, not because it went bad, but because then I needed to make more. I know it can be frozen probably for at least 6 months, and I've never seen it go bad unless people cross-contaminate it. Maybe they'll take a scoop, you know, they're having toast, and there was like maybe a little bit of something on the knife, and then they put it in there. Otherwise, I've never seen it going bad. So then I'm going to add my chopped up pears. It smells so good, the cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, all the flavors of fall. I developed this recipe because I have a lovely brother-in-law named Lawrence who every year gives me those beautiful Harry and David pears, you know, that come in the gold wrapper. And they had all gotten ripe at the same time. And I'm like, uh-oh, got to do something with them. So now we're just going to mix our ingredients together. If you want bigger pieces, you can just cut it by hand. Just want all the ingredients fully incorporated. If there's a big piece, you can just break it up with your spatula. And then I'm going to pour it. And I'm going to pour it over my crust. I'll tell you, vanilla bean powder is just one of my very favorite spices, especially in desserts. I'm going to wet my hands. Press it down evenly. And there's a few different ways. You can bake it just like this, but I'm going to show you a few different ways to make it look even prettier. So if you want to leave it like this, you'll just pop it in your preheated 325-degree oven. But what I like to do is just take a little bit of a low-fat, unsweetened coconut, just sprinkle it over the top. I have a recipe for something I call streusel topping that comes in both a reduced fat and a full-fat version that if I want it more decadent and richer and sweeter, sometimes I will sprinkle that. This is a 1/4 cup measuring cup, so it doesn't even look like I'm going to use half on there. So maybe 1.5 tablespoons is what it looks like. I don't even think this is 2. And then if you want it super duper pretty, what you can do is you can take another pear. When you buy them at the store, you don't buy them in a bag, just get ones that stand up straight. And then we take our slices. And then what we can do is we can make a design like a pear fan. A couple of ways you can do it. You can just stick them in like this, or you can just gently press down into a fan. You can do the same thing when you're doing apple pie. It's kind of pretty. It also helps when you cut it too, because it just gives you, you know, you just cut in between there. Makes it pretty easy to cut. It's kind of like a sunburst. And the great thing is you can move them if you decide you want to change the placement. You just kind of have them all go the same way. Kind of looks pretty, kind of like a sun. I have 2 more pieces, so what I can do is just put them in the middle like this. Decide how you want to design it, and then I'm just going to press these down. And again, you can put it in the oven just like it is, or you can just take a little bit of date syrup and you can just drizzle it over the top so it'll give it a glazed look. I don't measure, and I would estimate that this isn't even 2 tablespoons, maybe 1.5 or 1. And I don't need to take a pastry brush and brush it over the top, because as it's in the oven, it's going to separate on its own. So this is how the pie looks when it goes in the oven for 45 minutes at 325. And when it's done, I'll take it out and show you what it looks like. So here we have our beautiful, perfectly exquisite pear pie. Want to make sure it's completely cool. As you know, the first slice of any dessert is generally the more difficult one to get out. Probably should have used a sharp knife, but I'll be able to cut through that date oat crust. Now, I personally like my pie chilled. I don't really like warm pie, but if you do, eat it that way. Otherwise, you can chill it. I actually did freeze a piece once, and it does freeze well, but generally there's none left. So, like I said, the first piece, it's always the more difficult piece to get out, but it sure is delicious.